Welcome back. You're watching Market Fatafat on ET. Now let's get started with all the stocks that are buzzing in trade then, and we have a whole list of that on the technicals as well as on the back of news flows. And on the technicals, we're joined by Foram M.Chheda, while from the research team, we do have Ansh as well as Vamakshi joining in with us. A very good afternoon to all three of y'all. Foram, good afternoon to you as well. And first stock we're going to start is with you and Jyoti Labs. That's the one that has been in focus for some time. Surely seems like fundamentally also there is an up move coming in the stock as well. What are your technical charts now indicating for this?
Oh, well, hi, good afternoon, and thank you for having me on the show. Well, to begin with this stock, we have seen since yesterday that there has been a lot of momentum in this particular stock, technically speaking. So first is since July, there was a very exceptional increase in volume, and that brought in a lot of upside momentum. So from the stock went up from 240 levels to 290, that's nearly 20%. Post that, from September onwards, till the last week, I would say the stock remained in a very specified range of 343 to around 380 levels. However, yesterday, finally, it's broken off that consolidation of the range defined and has moved out of that consolidation range, which makes the stock look attractive when we look at from the technical perspective. Now, as far as the volumes are concerned, there is a very big difference. What we had seen in July, and after that there was a very average volume, and now suddenly since yesterday the volumes have picked up, so which also supports the bullish momentum what we are seeing in the stock. Since the stock has already rallied up for now, what one can do is buy 50% at the levels of 400, add in more at 390. Stop loss should be maintained below the levels of 379, and one can look for a target of closer to 450 to around 460.
Target of 450 to 460 is what one could keep an eye out on for Jyoti Labs. But let's move on, talk about Yatharth Hospital. This is buzzing away in trade after a very good set of numbers was reported by the company. The revenue saw a growth of 34%. The profits of the company also saw a sharp jump up, 27.6 crores versus 16 crores last year. So a jump up of around 71% in terms of the profits of the company. Operationally, also strong performance that has come in from the company. Margins have seen around a good expansion of around 40 basis point, 26.5 versus 26.1, and overall the EBITDA has seen a growth of 36% as well. Strong set of numbers that came in from the company. The stock saw a very sharp jump up in early morning trade. As of now, just holding on to gains of almost 2%.
Alright, moving on then, Forum, let's talk about Varun Beverages, and how is this one looking on the charts to you? We know that Varun Beverages actually came up with these numbers earlier this week. And the stock actually also reacted pretty positively. But on the charts, do you think the positive move will sustain for Varun Beverages going ahead?
Absolutely. Now, since the results have been good and we can see that it's already factored into the price, however, today we see that the stock has now come up from the highs also on an intraday basis. So once the price comes a little lower, back to around levels of closer to around 970, it looks attractive. Now, technically speaking, the overall trend of Varun Beverages has been up. There would have been phases where the stock remained in consolidation for a long time. So that also happened last month, where the stock actually had seen a decline of nearly 14.5%. But technically, the price took support near the 100-day moving average, and we've seen a very good rebound. So in fact, the stock was facing a lot of resistance near these levels of 970 to 975, which it already took out easily. Now that could have been the result impact also, and technically also it was facing a lot of resistance there. So this breakout has been backed by very good increase in volumes. So that also supports the upside momentum. So one should wait for a little lower level to buy the stock closer to around 900. And ideally, it should be around 975, but one can look at buying the stock at 985 levels also. Stop loss should be maintained below the levels of 950, and one can look for a higher target of closer to 1060.
Alright, that is Varun Beverages for you, but let's talk about oil companies, and all of them are in focus in today's trading session. If you look at HPCL, BPCL, IOC, all of them actually seeing sharp up move in today's trading session. Remember that the Brent crude oil has fallen to the lowest levels since July 24th, and this is on back of the demand actually slowdown that it's witnessing in China as well as the United States. Also, the US Energy Information Administration said that the production in the US in 2023 will rise by slightly less than previously expected, while the demand will fall. They are saying the weak economic data from China, which is the world's biggest consumer of oil, also weighed on the demand outlook. And on back of that, you have the downstream companies like BPCL, HPCL, as well as IOC that are all seeing sharp up moves in trade today, with HPCL rising 7%, also because it has the earnings effect as well, but because of the fact that the crude is actually at a 3-month low, you can see all of these OMC counters actually cheering in trade.
OMC counters are cheering in trade, and what was cheering in trade was also Cochin Shipyard for almost 6 months. And till September we saw a very sharp run up coming in from 600 to almost doubling to 1,200 in September. But since then, Foram, a bit of a subduedness that has come in from Cochin Shipyard. So in the last couple of months that we've seen, is it a good time now again to enter Cochin Shipyard, or maybe this subduedness is something that could continue?
Well, actually, when we look at it, the overall stock performance for the year, it has been exceptionally good. Now, from the lows of closer to, I would say, from the levels of 410, the stock has already rallied to around 1258 levels. So that's more than 200 and more than 200% of gains. However, the stock did peak out in the September closer to 1258 levels, and it has witnessed a corrective decline since then. But it's been a very steep decline in this 1.5 months, where it lost nearly 30%. The decline resulted in the price even moving below the 50-day moving average, which indicates that the short-term trend could be a little weak or can remain under pressure. But now the overall trend is now rather the price is stabilized and it's consolidating, and it is showing some signs of resumption. So the overall stock has now seen some kind of good increase in volumes also. Thus, one can watch out the stock to be bought at around 1,030, 1,040 levels. Stop loss should be maintained below the levels of 940, and targets can be considered near 1200 levels from an intermediate perspective. And from a long-term perspective, it has a potential to move up to closer to 1400 levels as well.
Right, moving on, Vamakshi, let's talk about Alem Labs. Let's get some earnings actually in the picture then. How are the numbers?
Well, yeah, Cheryl, when we look at the numbers, a strong set has actually come in from the company. We in fact have a brokerage note that has come in from Nomura, and they've actually gone ahead and upgraded their rating on this counter from neutral to buy. They've also gone ahead and hiked their target price significantly from 3,632 to 4,963 rupees per share, and as you can see, it's a significant upside from the current levels. Now, they believe that the Q2 numbers were much higher than what the street was working with. The earnings were supported by lower cost as well as tax rates. The company has an intent in order to pursue acquisition, and this in turn could be positive for Alem Labs, is what Nomura believes. They believe that an acquisition, especially in the domestic formulation, could allow Alem to actually leverage its large front-end platform in India. And historically, when we see the trend of acquisitions that have taken place, especially in India, they have been value accretive for companies. The valuation of the company is also quite supported by the EBITDA margin expansion beyond FY26, and more importantly, the management has also gone ahead and raised its EBITDA guidance from 16% to 16.5%. This is the EBITDA margin guidance that they've raised. So all in all, a lot of engines firing for Alem Labs. We have an upgrade coming in from Nomura, and that is the reason why the stock is up in trade today.
Okay, Ansh, the next stock that we're keeping an eye out on is Superia Life Science. Why is that so?
The company has reported a substantial year-on-year increase in revenue, with a total revenue of 140 crore, marking a growth of around 25%. The major contribution in revenue is from Europe region. EBITDA margin saw a slight decrease to 22.6% from last year's 25.4%. Net profit showed healthy growth, reflecting a 41% increase compared to previous year's Q2. But if we compare this year's quarter, then March quarter reported profit of 38 crore, June quarter saw a 23% decline to 29 crore, and recent September quarter saw further decline to 24 crore. That's the reason why we are seeing stock trading 5% lower today.
Alright, so that is Superia Life, and yes, no doubt it is a bit of a truncated show. That was the last stock that we had to discuss on this edition of Market Fatafat. Thank you so much, Foram, for joining us on the show, as well as Vamakshi and Anshin taking our viewers through some of the stocks that are actually buzzing in trade today. With that, it's a goodbye from Vinny, myself, and the team that put the show together. But stay tuned, closing trades coming up next.